who lied about faking an attack has basically, more than likely, has probably ruined his career. Um, Coming out of Chicago, news that a grand jury had indicted Empire actor Jussie Smollett for allegedly lying to Chicago police about being attacked by two masked men may not have made much of a splash, except for one thing: the lone felony count that Jussie Smollett had been arrested on last month has now turned into 16 felonies. The reason Smollett is facing 16 counts rather than just one count of disorderly conduct, the felony in Illinois that people are charged with when accused of lying to police, are not fully explained in the indictment that a grand jury returned Thursday. But legal experts say indictments like that aren't uncommon in Chicago, and there are some explanations as to how the grand jury could have arrived at the 16 counts, 8 of them for Smollett's comments to a police officer, and 8 others for what he told a detective. The first starts with something that has been apparent since Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson briefed reporters last month on the investigation. Authorities are angry at Smollett because he lied. What you have is a police department and prosecutors that are obviously mad at him for embarrassing the city, so they took every one of his lies and made it into another account, said Terry Sullivan, a prominent local attorney who as a young prosecutor helped convict serial killer John Wayne Gacy in 1980 of killing 33 men. Smollett's attorney, Mark Geragos, called the 16-count indictment prosecutorial overkill, but prominent Chicago defense attorney Joseph Lopez, who was not involved in the Smollett case, said it's the way prosecutors in Chicago do their business. It is common practice for the Cook County State's attorney to charge as much as they can for any kind of crime, he said. A former state appellate judge suggested such a strategy might be employed by prosecutors trying to protect themselves from the possibility that a jury or a judge might believe some but not all of the allegations. If you only charge him with 1 or 2 counts and they find him not guilty of them, then you're done, said David Erickson, who now teaches at a Chicago College of Law. This gives the prosecution the ability to convict him of any one of these lies. Lopez said it appears that when prosecutors went to the grand jury, they simply dissected the case, breaking down Smollett's account into each of its individual pieces, and accused him of 1 count per detail that they believe he made up. That means that 1 count might stem from Smollett's contention that the men hurled racial and homophobic taunts at him, and another for what he said was the way they beat him. Another could be tied to his claim that the men doused him with an unknown chemical, and another still for his statement that one of them looped a rope tied like a noose around his neck. Then there was his assertion, police said, that he could see one of the men was white because he could see the skin around his eyes. The 2 men police say Smollett hired to take part in the attack are both black, and they're people that worked with him at Empire. That's what it says. The lies started adding up pretty fast, Lopez said. Another explanation for the multiple counts is that perhaps Smollett gave multiple statements to the police, meaning that individual counts represent separate interviews with police. Each count is listed as a Class 4 felony, which carries a possible prison sentence of up to 3 years. If Smollett is convicted, a judge could allow him to be given probation instead of an imposing prison sentence. Lopez and Erickson agreed that if Smollett is convicted, it won't matter whether it's 1 or several counts when it comes to sentencing. That's because he would be sentenced for only 1 of them. If you add them up, it's still only 1 crime. Erickson said that's just how it is, and Lopez said that if Smollett is convicted of multiple counts, prosecutors can ask that the sentence be served consecutively, but it's highly unlikely that a judge would do so. Smollett's legal troubles may not begin and end with this one indictment. Days before the January 29th incident, a letter threatening Smollett was sent to the studio where the television show was filmed. A letter, Johnson told reporters the day Smollett appeared in court, that the actor had actually sent it. The FBI, which is investigating that letter, has declined to comment on the investigation, but if Smollett did talk to the FBI, depending on what he said, he could be in more legal trouble. Lying to the FBI is a crime, said Erickson. Smollett is scheduled to appear in court on this Thursday, where he will likely enter a formal plea for 1 of the 16 counts. Jussie adamantly maintains his innocence, even if law enforcement has robbed him of that presumption. Said his attorney, Geragos. I said, if you're going to hire somebody to attack you, make sure that you hire somebody that you don't know. Because supposedly, like I said, these 2 people that attacked him were supposedly people that he worked with in Empire, so that's his fucking mistake on that part.